Get ready with me. I have about 5 minutes. The things in the Jean Benet Crime Junkie episode that surprised me that I didn't know that I had forgotten first was there were indictments that were passed down. When they had a grand jury in 1999, did issue indictments against both John and Patsy. And the only ones that were unsealed were the 2 counts for each of them that were for basically putting a child in harm's way that resulted in injury or death, and essentially aiding the person that was responsible for her death. The DA came out after the grand jury was done, and he basically said that they didn't have enough evidence to bring charges. So there were indictments, and I think that that's not always common knowledge. The other thing that surprised me that I had forgotten about, that I knew and had forgotten about, was one of the lead investigators actually ended up resigning because, and he wrote this really long resignation letter, he ended up resigning because he said that essentially the DA and the Ramsey's defense attorneys were making it impossible for them to properly investigate the case. And he said that he just couldn't, in good faith, participate in it any longer. Okay, third fun fact, which I did not know at all, and which is like wild. Okay, the Steins, first of all, they moved with them or after them to Georgia, to Atlanta. So Ramsey's relocated back to Atlanta after all of this happened. The Steins then also relocated to Atlanta after all of this happened. Okay, so that's the first weird thing. The second weird thing is the wife, Mrs. Stein, was using a bogus email to impersonate the Boulder chief of police. Like, she was sending emails to like reporters and some other people as if she were the Boulder chief of police. I found that really, really odd. The other thing was that Dr. Phil episode that Burke agreed to participate in, he said some things that were not in the original testimony. He said that he did get up and he did go downstairs to play with a Christmas toy that he had gotten that he wanted to put together after everybody else went to bed. That was not in the original police reports. When John Ramsey was later asked about that, he basically said he didn't remember that. Like, he didn't have any knowledge of that at all. But then there was some confusion that he was the one who basically told Dr. Phil that, because Dr. Phil was only asking like pre-approved questions. So that's super weird and confusing. The whole thing is just really weird. The police fumbled it. That made things really hard to begin with, but there's just a lot of really odd things about this case. Take from that what you will. If you have an extra 3.5 hours to spare, I highly recommend you watch the full Crime Junkie episode, because I'm absolutely not doing it justice.